Hello and welcome back once again to another episode of the Wrestling Rant. I have to blow through this as quickly as possible because tonight is the midnight release of Destiny, and I'd much rather be going to that than going over this horse shit. If you can't tell, this episode of Raw sucked, again, for about the third week in a row now, I believe. So like I said, let's blow through it really quick. September 8th, 2014 from Baltimore, Maryland. The show starts with the cage lowering. The steel cage, of course, since they promised, it was last week on Raw, I believe, they promised Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho in a cage match. That's going to open the show. So, yay, they're actually doing a match to start the show for once instead of a boring fucking promo. But boo, because the match fucking sucked anyways. So the cage is lowering. While the cage is lowering, they have a video package hyping up this concept that tonight is the season premiere of Raw. Yes, the season premiere of a show that is on every week, never takes a break, and hence cannot have seasons. So why they're talking about having a season premiere, I don't know. Last week sure as hell wasn't the season finale, so yeah. And by the way, they mention this season premiere thing more times than they mention the fucking WWE Network or the $9.99 price tag bullshit. Or at least more than they have mentioned those things in previous episodes. Holy shit. Anyways, who cares? Jericho comes out and Bray Wyatt comes out and we get the stupid match between them. Like I said, it sucked. And I barely took any notes on any of these matches because I don't fucking care anymore at this point. I cannot be bothered by this garbage. There's a commercial break in the match, and what ends up happening is Jericho had climbed to the top of the cage, in one of the corners, of course. And he was going to try escaping, climbing down the other side, right? You know, is standard in a cage match. Well, Rowan and Harper are down there on the floor in that corner of the cage. So Jericho's like, well, I can't just dive on top of them to escape, which is what a sensible guy would do. I'll dive on top of them, my feet will touch the floor, I'll win the match, maybe they'll kick my ass, I don't care, I win the match. No, instead, he turns around to face Bray, who's getting up. I don't know what had happened to Bray before, but he was just now getting up. Jericho turns around to face him, Bray's in the middle of the ring, and so Jericho dives off the top of the cage and basically lands in like a crossbody type of thing with Bray, but apparently on the landing he fucked up his knee and starts selling it like crazy. Oh, my knee, my knee. He even crawls to the corner to pull his knee brace down or whatever, to pull the pad down to take a look at his knee, and he's like, oh, fuck my knee. But Bray is completely wiped out after this crossbody. Because, I mean, Jericho came down on top of him like a ton of bricks. You know, this dude who weighs, what, 230 pounds, something like that, comes crashing down on top of you from the top of the cage, which is like 15 feet or so. So, yeah. So yeah, Bray's wiped out, Jericho's in the corner, and he finally realizes, oh hey, Bray's wiped out, I should probably try to get out of the cage. But my knee's fucked, so I'm gonna have to limp. So Jericho uses the ropes to pull himself up. He gets up to 1 foot, and he's hopping across because he's in the opposite corner, not the opposite corner, but he's on. Of course, with the cage match, you've got a door that you can have them open to get out of the cage, because they stupidly do this thing where, oh, you're in a cage match, it's designed to keep other people out of the match, but it's designed to keep the combatants in, right? So let's let them escape, and that's one of the ways they can win, which is fucking stupid. That's just my opinion, though. But yeah, so he's got the door. Jericho is down the ropes in the corner from the door, because the door's in one corner. Jericho's down the ropes from that corner. He's not in the adjacent or the opposite corner. He's just down the other side of the ring. So he gets up and he's trying to hobble over to the fucking cage door to escape. Just as he's about to escape, there's Bray, who grabs him by the foot to grab him and pull him back in, and Bray's whacking on Jericho's hurt knee, yada yada yada, and they're both grabbed onto each other, they're headbutting each other, they're punching each other. Bray goes down and starts whacking on Jericho's knee again, and then all of a sudden he just grabs the bottom rope or the edge of the ring and just pulls himself forward and launches his fat ass through the ropes, out of the ring, all the way to the floor. And so, ding ding ding, Bray wins. The finish came absolutely out of nowhere, made no fucking sense. Who gives a shit? After the match, I think one of the Wyatts slams the cage door into Jericho's knee because he's still hanging onto the edge of the ring. Bray goes back into the cage with Jericho to beat the shit out of him. Well, actually, they beat the shit out of him just at the cage door entrance. They beat the shit out of him, throw him back into the ring, and Bray goes back into the cage with him. Bray grabs him, picks him up, because, of course, his leg is fucked, so he picks him up, sets him up for the Sister Abigail, plants him with it, and then Bray gets down on his knees with his arms outstretched, doing his stupid pose, and I think he said, "Follow the buzzards," and then the Wyatt cut, and done. So, moving on. They hype up a segment that they're calling Warning. It's Paul Heyman warning John Cena about Brock Lesnar. Who gives a shit? Moving on. Hype for another segment in the never-ending garbage that is this stupid Bella feud. Which I should note is probably what they used to take the place of the segment they were probably going to use for that Michael Sam or whoever he was, the football guy that they invited to come to Raw. I don't know if I mentioned this on Smack. I think I did, actually. I think I mentioned this on SmackDown, but he signed with the Dallas Cowboys, so he's not coming to Raw. Like, ever. And hopefully he doesn't, because we don't need that shit. So yeah, but this segment is going to be another intervention for the Bellas, this time hosted by Jerry Springer. Yes, the Jerry Springer Show, where bitches rip each other's clothes off, and unfortunately we didn't get any of that, although that probably would have been the only good thing about this segment had it happened. Good grief. So they hype that. They also hype up another match between Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, another rematch from their SummerSlam match. That also actually turns out to be the main event of the show. Either way, cutting backstage to the office, there's Kane and Seth Rollins, and they're talking and whatever the fuck. And then Triple H comes up, and he's talking and whatever the fuck. And then Randy comes up. And then he says something to Triple H, and Triple H says, "Yeah, sure, you have my permission." And I'm like, permission for what? That's the end of the segment, and they cut to commercial. Whatever. Coming back from the commercial, we're looking at the ring, and there's Dolph Ziggler in like a blazer. He's kind of dressed up a little bit, you know, and he's got a microphone. And so he's talking, and he makes reference to this current trend in Hollywood and thing, where these Hollywood movie stars or whatever are having like nude photos of themselves leaked. You know, all this sort of shit. And this basically segues into him saying, you know, I've come into possession of some leaked photos of our resident D-list celebrity or movie star or whatever, The Miz. Of course, we have to continue this feud between these guys. And he shows these pictures And I don't even care to describe him because it doesn't fucking matter. He shows him up on the Titantron, of course. And then, of course, The Miz's music hits, and he comes out with Damien Sandow, who is still playing The Miz's stunt double, sidekick, bitch, whatever you want to call him. And so Miz is bitching up a storm. You can't do this. This is an invasion of my privacy, this and that. If you show any more of these, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue everybody in the arena. And I'm like, first of all, I don't think you can sue the people in the arena. They didn't do anything wrong. Oh, they looked at the pictures, so what? Whatever. Ziggler's like, yeah, whatever. He shows another picture anyways. And this one had, let's see. Miz was turned around with his ass exposed. Of course, it was censored out. But Sandow, I think, was helping him apply his spray tan. And that was the picture. It was really bad. Miz is like, okay, fuck this. Sandow, get in there and do something. So Sandow tries to get in the ring. He gets drop-kicked in the face by Ziggler, who's wearing the Intercontinental title belt, by the way. And then Ziggler went over to nail Miz, but of course Miz jumped off the apron. The two of them were standing on the apron, Miz and Sandow. So Miz jumps off the apron. Ziggler turns around. Sandow's getting up after getting drop-kicked. Ziggler jumps up and hits the zigzag on Sandow. And so Miz is leaving, and that's pretty much the end of that segment. Moving on. More hype for Orton and Reigns. More hype for the Jerry Springer shit. And commercial break. Coming back from the commercial, we're looking at the ring again, and there's Natalya with Rosa Mendez. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, when the hell did Rosa turn face? Because I know Natalya's a face. Apparently, this is some bullshit that happened on Total Divas. Yes, they're still trying to bring the crap from that stupid goddamn show on the E! Network. They're still trying to bring crap from that show into the actual wrestling storylines. Into kayfabe. Idiots. Number one, not everybody who watches the WWE watches Total Divas. So when you incorporate crap from Total Divas, you're alienating half of your audience, probably, because it's probably not even half of the audience that watches Total Divas. Because the guys probably don't watch the show. It's mainly just the women. And there's hardly any women that watch the WWE anyways. Anyways, who gives a shit? Apparently this is going to be a tag team match. It's Natalya and Rosa, and their opponents. First, out comes AJ. And I can already see where this is going. AJ comes out, yada yada, and then Paige comes out. So yeah, it's going to be Natalya and Rosa versus AJ and Paige. And that's the match we get. Of course, at the beginning of the match, there's a fucking CM Punk chant. And, let's see, Paige was working over Rosa for the entire match. Because Rosa, apparently the storyline they're going with is Rosa has asked Natalya to train her, basically. You know, because Rosa really wants to be the next Divas champion. She wants to, you know, she wants to be a better wrestler or some shit. And that's all well and good. But yeah, Rosa gets her ass kicked by Paige the whole match. And Paige keeps teasing like she's going to go over and tag AJ, but she never does. And I think Paige got knocked out onto the apron. No, she took Rosa out onto the apron. And Rosa was bent over between the ropes, and Paige was just kneeing her repeatedly in the stomach. And so after that, Paige goes over towards AJ to get into the ring, and of course, as she's getting into the ring, AJ grabs her by the hair, pulls her back over the ropes, and slaps her on the tits, and the ref counts this as a tag, so in comes AJ. And so AJ grabs Rosa, who was basically flat on her back after getting kneed in the stomach repeatedly by Paige. AJ grabs Rosa, picks her up, immediately puts her in the Black Widow, and Rosa taps out. Match is over. So AJ and Paige win. Yada yada. The two of them are standing in the ring staring at each other. AJ's holding the Divas belt. Or no. Paige is holding the Divas belt because she's the champion. AJ takes it away from her. And Paige is like, that's mine. And I'm like, take it back, you wuss. Fuck. AJ's holding it. She looks at it. She kisses it. And then she hands it back to Paige. And so Paige is like, okay, well, two can play this game. She looks at it. She kisses the damn belt, too. I'm like, okay. And then AJ skips off. After giving that little sexy look that she does. Moving on. We get a recap of the cage match earlier. Who gives a shit? That's basically just a segue. We cut backstage to the trainer's room, where there's Jericho being attended to by the trainer, of course. And all of a sudden, Randy Orton busts in and starts beating the hell out of Jericho. Knocks him down, whacks the fuck out of his hurt knee, yada yada. And I'm like, well, what in the fuck was that all about? I'm guessing that's just their way of... Jericho's injured. His contract, I think, is over for right now. He only came back for a short time to put over Bray. So, yeah, I guess that's them just writing out Jericho for a while. Who cares? After that, they cut to a commercial break. Coming back, we get a recap of what just happened. And then they cut to the ring where there's Paul Heyman. He starts cutting a promo, saying that, he wants to deliver this warning to John Cena, but he really wants to do it face to face. I think that's what he said. And so out comes John Cena. Of course. More talking, blah, blah, blah. And I think what it was is Heyman says, I want to tell you how you can beat Brock Lesnar. And I'm thinking, a gun? That would probably be the best way. Because you're not going to beat him in a fight. But yeah. They go back and forth, and finally, what Heyman says, this is how you beat Brock Lesnar. I want you to give in to all the hate. And again, this is the same bullshit they've tried to do with Cena so many times now. It's old. Heyman's telling him, I want you to tell these people who say that you suck, I want you to tell these people to shut up. I just want you to do that. Cut one of your battle raps on him or whatever. And Heyman even does a goofy one where he insults the Baltimore Ravens. It was fucking atrocious, this whole goddamn segment. Cena has none of it, of course. And he basically gets to the point where he says, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you, Paul. But I don't want that to be the headline, John Cena beats up helpless Paul Heyman or whatever the fuck. So I'm going to give you a week. Next week on Raw, I'm going to be here. If you show up, you better bring Brock Lesnar because I want to fight him. And if he shows up next week, I'm going to fight him. But if he don't show up, I'm going to fight you, Paul. And I'm like, yeah, great hero. Beat up the fucking helpless old man, really. And that's basically the end of the promo, and they cut to a commercial break. Moving on. Coming back from the break, Sheamus is already in the ring finishing his entrance. And then Seth Rollins comes out to his usual no reaction. We get a match between these two, and it was a fucking yawn, boring-ass match. The punchline is, in the middle of the match, ambulance siren. And I'm like, oh yeah. Out comes Cesaro. And immediately as he comes out, they cut to a commercial break. What ends up happening is Cesaro's at ringside once they come back from the break. Cesaro's at ringside, he grabs the United States title belt, since of course Sheamus is United States champion. Cesaro grabs the belt, and Sheamus of course is distracted by this. He says, that's my belt, you give it back. Cesaro comes up the corner steps with the belt, And Sheamus goes over and grabs the belt from him, and they're doing like tug of war, you know. Finally, Sheamus just lets go of the thing and lets Cesaro fall down the fucking steps and slam up against the barricade with the belt. What happened? Oh yeah, as Sheamus is still propping himself up in the corner, Rollins comes running up from behind and kicks Sheamus in the back of the head. It was like a jumping, like, enziguri kind of kick, or whatever. So he kicks Sheamus in the head, Sheamus falls down and ends up on his face, gets up to all fours, and of course Rollins hits the ropes, hits the curb stomp, the blackout, which Sheamus botched, by the way, because Rollins jumps up and goes to kick his head into the mat. Sheamus didn't go down until like a full second later. And I'm like, yeah, delayed reaction, great. And Rollins wins off of that. So it looked like shit. Rollins gets the win, the crowd is dead. And then Cesaro... Rollins fucks off, of course, because the match is over. Cesaro gets up after, you know, falling on his ass, and he gets up on the apron, and he takes his sweet goddamn time. It's like, I gotta take off my watch and put that into a pocket, and then I'm gonna take off, because Cesaro's wearing like a suit, you know. I'm going to take off my watch and put that in a pocket. Then I'm going to take off my suit jacket. I'm going to take that off and put that over on the corner. And then I'm going to take off my nice button-up shirt real slow. Like, he takes his sweet goddamn time unbuttoning every button to pull this thing off. And he pulls the shirt off and throws that away. And I'm like, you idiot. He's going to hit you or something. No. He finally grabs Sheamus, and I think he just open hand slapped him right in the face, and then puts his head down, cinches him up for the neutralizer, picks him up, and plants him with the neutralizer. And I'm like, wow, Sheamus is a total bitch. This guy took forever getting ready to attack you, and you couldn't recover. Are they really trying to, like, sell the effectiveness of the blackout, the curb stomp? Is that what they were going for? Like, he was totally knocked unconscious by that curb stomp. Like, yeah, if he'd have done it through cinder blocks, maybe, but that also would have killed him. But Christ, Cesaro took his sweet goddamn time getting ready to do... Don't care, moving on. More hype for the Jerry Springer show. I mean, the Bellas segment. I mean, the train wreck. The train wreck. Commercial break. Coming back from the break, we get a recap from 3 goddamn weeks ago. The stupid thing between Mark Henry and Rusev. The stupid little promo between the two of them that basically started their feud. Who gives a shit? Rusev's music hits, and he and Lana come out onto the stage to no reaction. Lana cuts a promo talking about here in Baltimore is actually where the United States national anthem was written. Yada yada. She sings the national anthem, the American one, or at least part of it, and then she goes into her own made-up lyrics. Of course, the same old anti-American shit. And then she stops doing that shit and she's like, yeah, you know what, fuck this, play our national anthem. And the Russian national anthem plays. And they don't even let it finish before they cut over to the commentators who are literally taking a piss out of this shit. Like, they are so pissed off by this and so disgusted. Lawler's like, I'm not even going to stand up for this shit. You know what? I'm even going to get out of my seat and sit on the floor for this shit. That's how much I'm pissed off about this crap. And I'm like, good God, this is awful. Moving on. Finally, the commentators segue into another video package, where they go over, it's time again for the NXT TakeOver pay-per-view. They've done this once before, I think. And they're actually hyping up some of the NXT guys. And so it's like, okay, well, the NXT pay-per-view is this Thursday. By the way, I should probably look into that. I might. I don't know. and they hype up, we're having this Fatal 4-Way match for the first time in NXT history. We're having a Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT title. And that will be between current champion Adrian Neville versus Sami Zayn, a.k.a. El Generico, versus Tyler Breeze, who is a... He calls himself Prince Pretty. So as you can imagine, he has a I'm pretty, don't hit me in the face, look at me. And he brings his damn camera phone out with him and he's constantly looking into it. His gimmick sucks. And all three of them versus Tyson Kidd. Yeah, Tyson Kidd has been completely demoted to NXT. That's your Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT title. And after the video package, the commentators say, we're actually going to show you a preview of this Fatal 4-Way match by having those same four guys in a tag team match up next on Raw. But that's going to happen after the commercial break. And so they cut to a commercial break. And when they come back, all four of the guys are already in the ring. Yeah, great way to hype up your NXT guys. Don't let them have entrances or anything. At least not televised. I'm sure the people who were at the arena maybe got to see them. Doesn't matter, though. So yeah, we get a nice little tag team match between the four of these guys. It's Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville, the two faces, of course, versus Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd, the two heels. And like I said, it actually turned out to be a nice match. Zayn started off against Tyler Breeze, I think. And so, of course, the crowd is chanting, "Olé, olé, olé, olé." Yeah, they're doing the El Generico thing. What ends up happening is Adrian Neville gets tagged in. And he starts hopping around that ring like a little monkey, beating the shit out of fucking Breeze and Kidd. And he ends up hitting his finishing move, which I already knew this, but it's a corkscrew shooting star press off the top rope. And he calls this the Red Arrow. And I'm thinking, why do you call it the Red Arrow? Your trunks and your ring gear are gray. I don't care, though. So yeah, he hits the Red Arrow on Tyler Breeze, I think. And he gets the win. So Zayn and Neville win. Like I said, the match was nice. Wasn't super duper spectacular, but it was a good way to introduce these four guys to the main audience. Would have been nice if you gave them fucking full entrances, at least for TV. Whatever. After the match, we get more hype for Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. More hype for the Jerry Springer train wreck. And speaking of, there's Stephanie backstage. She's getting ready to come out to introduce Jerry. And that'll be next. And they cut to another commercial. And of course, coming back from the commercial, Stephanie comes out to no reaction. She talks a bit. She introduces Jerry Springer, who comes out. And he talks, and he introduces Brie Bella, who comes out to some new music. We get a recap from last week, the stupid fight between them two with AJ and Paige and Stephanie. And then Jerry talks about, after that thing last week, you apologized to your sister Nikki over Twitter. Yada yada, more talking. Jerry introduces Nikki, who comes out to no fucking reaction, and there's more talking. And they show a bunch of clips from the Total Divas show that nobody cares about. And Nikki says to Brie that you're the reason why Dad left us. Apparently their father abandoned them. Yeah, great. And so, Jerry's like, well, it's funny you mention your dad because we actually tracked him down And we have him live via satellite. And yeah, they show the guy up on the Titantron, and he's whatever the fuck. And then like, and we also got a hold of your mom too, and she's up on the Titantron, and she says some shit. Yada yada. More talking, and I think Bree brings up, you know, I know I have our younger brother JJ on my side. And Jerry's like, oh yeah, it's funny you mention your brother. And I think Bree was like, why? Do you have a video of him too? And Jerry's like, no, we actually got you one better. We've got him here in the arena tonight. And then the Total Divas theme song starts playing, and out comes this guy. And I'm like, yeah, because coming out to the Total Divas crappy pop song theme music makes you look like a real man. This guy comes out, and he says, Nikki, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're being a bitch and this and that. Finally, the two Bella twits start brawling with each other. And I think Nikki even slapped her brother JJ. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So they're brawling, they're rolling around. Jerry even goes down with them because, like, I think Bree had to tackle through Jerry to get to Nikki, so all three of them fall down. Jerry's hurt. It gets broken up finally by the security. But then they go back to brawling again. And then Stephanie gets in the ring. I thought she had fucked off, but apparently not. She gets back in the ring and she tries to break them up. She falls down with them, you know, goes down into the cloud of dust. That's, you know, they're hissy fighting and all this bullshit. Steph tries to break them up. She finally does. But they go back to brawling again. And then finally, it finally gets broken up for good. And Nikki runs off. And they're talking, oh, Jerry's hurt, his ankle, this and that. And that's pretty much the end of the segment. And I have another quote from one of the guys on my message board that I'm on about. I don't remember his name, but it's perfect. So this is the crap that wrestling fans get made fun of for. Yeah. People, you know, normal people that don't watch wrestling, they might casually be channel surfing, and they might happen to stop on, you know, the USA Network on a Monday night and see this segment and go, what the hell is this shit? And they're thinking, like, is this the kind of crap that these wrestling fans like? And then they make fun of us for it. This is why I hate this garbage right now. Because this is so bad, it makes wrestling fans all over the world just look like complete idiots. Anyways, moving on. More hype for Orton and Reigns, and then they cut to another fucking commercial. Coming back, Goldust and Stardust come out, and while they're coming out, we get a little picture-in-a-picture promo from the Usos. Their promo sucked, by the way. It was, let's see, it was the one Uso who's not hurt, saying, you hurt my brother, and if you hurt my brother, you hurt me, and if you hurt the both of us, we gonna hurt you. And it's gonna be coming sometime soon. And I'm like, this is the most generic, crappy, schlocky promo. But we get a little bit more of that later on. But yeah. So Goldust and Stardust are finishing their entrance, and there, standing in the ring, are Los Matadores. Minus El Torito, because apparently he got beat up by Goldust and Stardust. I don't know, that might have been on SmackDown or something, I don't give a shit. So we get a match between these two teams. Match was pretty weak, I thought. Cody, or Stardust, gets the win for his team after hitting, let's see, he hit this move before. It was the weird arm-trapping, wraparound mic check, or downward spiral, whatever you want to call it. Apparently, they've finally come up with a name for this move. They call it Dark Matter. fitting into their stupid cosmic gimmick that they have. But yeah, Cody hits that on one of the Matadors, and he gets the win with it. Moving on. But we're not done yet. Cody and Goldust, as they're leaving, they're going up the ramp, and they turn their backs, they're walking backwards up towards the stage, and of course, the Usos come out and attack them and beat the hell out of them and chase them off. So yeah, who gives a fuck? Now finally moving on, we cut over to the commentators who start talking about, I believe it was over the weekend, or maybe it was late last week, news came out that Joan Rivers died. And so they talk about it a bit, and then they say, well, we've got a tribute video for her. And so they show this tribute video. Yeah. And so after that, they cut to another commercial. Coming back from the commercial, we get a recap from last week of when Adam Rose's bunny from his Rosebuds, the bunny guy, attacked Heath Slater, all that shit. And that basically serves as another segue into what's about to happen. Cutting back live to the ring, there's Slater and Titus O'Neil again. And then Adam Rose makes his entrance. And I have to fucking make a note of this because it seems just kind of dumb. Every time Rose comes out, you know, they get the big hype with it for his music starting, and the Rosebuds come out, you know, the party people, and they're like lining the entryway and everything. And they're always so excited about this, like, oh my god, Adam Rose is finally gonna come out, you know? And I'm like, you're his party people. You're hanging out with him all the time. Like on his tour bus, backstage before the show, during the show. Like, how can you stay that excited for this guy, you know? I just don't get it. Anyway, so Rose comes out, whatever the fuck. We get a rematch between Adam Rose and Titus O'Neil, which of course turned out to be crap because of the stupid bullshit they have going on. During the match, of course, the guy in the bunny suit is over there, and he's banging on the apron, you know, cheering on Rose. And around the other corner of the ring, there's Slater comes creeping up like a Navy SEAL, you know. He comes creeping up, he's going to try to attack the bunny guy again. He jumps off of the ringside steps to dive on him. Well, the bunny guy sees it coming and ducks under him, and so Slater splats on the fucking mat. The mat outside the ring, that is. And so, as Slater goes to get up, the bunny guy super kicks him in the face! And I'm like, what the fuck? This motherfucker knows how to do a super kick? He lays fucking Slater out, and Titus is like, what the fuck? He turns around, gets kicked in the stomach by Rose. Rose grabs him, plants him with the party foul. 1, 2, 3, match is over, so Rose wins. And I'm like, what in the fuck is this shit? And then, you know, Rose is like celebrating a little bit, you know. And then he's like, come on, get in the ring, bunny guy. And so the bunny guy gets in the fucking ring. And, like, Rose is like, go up to the top rope, bunny guy. And so he does. The bunny guy goes up to the top rope. And Titus is still down in the middle of the ring. The bunny guy jumps off, big splash, on Titus. And again, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Better yet, who cares? Let's move on. We cut backstage. There's Renee Young. It's time for another backstage interview segment. She's with Roman Reigns. And she asks him, like, how do you feel about what Randy said? It was going to be a great season premiere of Raw or whatever the fuck. And Roman says, and this is the thing I was talking about earlier with the bad promo. Roman says, you know, I don't know what Randy was talking about, but I do know this. Randy's the Viper, and he's got the venom. But I've got the antidote. Believe that. And he walks away. And as he's walking away, Renee has this scowl look on her face, like Roman just ripped a sick fart on the way out. I'm thinking even she realized that promo sucked. But anyways, cut to commercial break. Coming back, we get another recap, this time of the stupid Cena-Heyman promo segment from earlier. Who gives a fuck? And they play another video package for Brock Lesnar, because of course he didn't show up. This is why I didn't want him to be champion, because he's hardly ever going to show up. And because he's a scumbag. At the end of the video package, the commentators say Brock has contacted WWE or whatever the fuck, and he has said that he will be here next week. So, whoop-de-fucking-do. Orton's music hits and he comes out to his usual no reaction. And then we cut to another commercial break. And coming back from the commercial break, Roman Reigns makes his entrance and he comes out. And we get the final match of the evening. And again, I want to blow through this crap as quickly as possible. Wow, I'm going to be cutting it close here. There's 2 commercial breaks in this match. And afterwards, let's see. Randy was setting up for the RKO. Roman pushed him off into the ropes, and as Randy came back, he eats a Superman punch from Roman. And so both of them go down. Roman starts motioning towards the stage. He's like, come on out. Out come Seth Rollins and Kane with a big group of what appeared to be security guards. They weren't, actually. But this big group of people start coming out with Rollins and Kane. Rollins and Kane come in, they dive into the ring, they start beating the hell out of Roman. I'm gonna guess a DQ was called, obviously, since this is blatant interference. Meanwhile, the big group of people, they start going underneath the ring, working on shit, and I'm like, oh, are these guys the ring crew? And then Randy gets up and he starts looking up. The cage is coming back down. So yeah, this is this grand scheme that they came up with. We're gonna sucker Roman into this match, and we're gonna have Kane and Rollins come out to beat him down, and together we're gonna get the cage down, and we're gonna just beat the shit out of him. Well, at first, Roman is able to fight Kane and Rollins off. And I think Rollins threw a chair into the ring, just as the cage was coming down to be fully lowered onto the thing. So whatever. Roman ends up hitting the spear on Randy, and that wipes him out. But then Roman gets up and turns around and looks up. There's Seth from the top of the cage, and he dives off just like Jericho did earlier and crossbodies Roman and wipes him the fuck out, only Seth didn't blow out his knee. Kane ends up beating the shit out of Roman a minute and then choke slams him, and then Randy grabs the chair and starts beating the shit out of Roman with it. And this is all just setting up, just weakening Roman. Finally, what ends up happening is they set the chair in the middle of the ring, and they've got Roman face down on top of it, and so Randy's getting him up. Rollins hits the ropes and hits the curb stomp on Roman face first onto the chair. And that's it. So that's the end of Raw, basically. So, yeah, that's it. I need to wrap this up because it's almost midnight, and I need to go to my midnight release of Destiny because I really don't care about this shit anymore. I'm sorry, but I really don't. I think we're nearing the end of this show. The permanent end. Aside from maybe me doing NXT or TNA, maybe. I don't know. Let's go over the matches one more time like we always do. Bray Wyatt defeats Chris Jericho in a cage match that was shit. AJ and Paige defeat Natalya and Rosa Mendez in a weak match. Seth Rollins beats Sheamus in a boring match. Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville defeat Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd in a nice match. Nice little departure from our usual schlock. And then the Dust Brothers defeat the Matadors in another weak-ass tag team match. Adam Rose defeats Titus O'Neil in a crappy shenanigans-filled match. And then I'm going to guess that Roman Reigns defeats Randy Orton by disqualification in a boring match that only led to just a big giant fucking beatdown. So that's the end of Raw from September 8th, 2014 from Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you for watching. Join us next time for SmackDown, and we will see you then. Good night.